This is the Motivated Business Show, hosted by me, Mark Terrell, the author of Motivated, the Reluctant Leader's Guide to Building a Business That Sets You Free. In my book, I share the 7-step process to get the measure of your business. M.E.A.S.U.R.E is an acronym that stands for Mirror, Evaluate, Action, Systemize, Unify, Review, and Energize. On each episode, I'll be chatting to a business owner about how they stay motivated and how they've got the measure of their business. So without further ado, let's find out who's joining me on this episode. Hello and welcome to this episode of the Motivated Business Show with me, Mark Terrell. Today's guest is quite apt as it's Mental Health Awareness Week. And my guest Marina today is well involved with that sort of thing in the workplace and outside the workplace. So really looking forward to the conversation about what she does and the importance it has with regards to individuals and also the impact that she can have within organisations when counselling and all those things are needed to bring people back on board that may be having some struggles in their life. So before we get stuck into that conversation, let's just remind you of my book. My book, I mention it every time because inside that book there's a 7-step process which I'll talk about a bit later on. The 7-step process which I think every business owner should follow, starting with M for mirror and following through to E for energize, being the M.E.A.S.U.R.E acronym, 7 steps. So that's in my book. If you'd like to contribute to the podcast, any contribution is well received and gratefully received, I should say. And you can do that by going to my Buy Me a Coffee page and just buy me a coffee. And if you buy me 2 coffees, then I will put a copy of my book in the post to you. So there you are. If you want to contribute and also get a copy of the book, then you can do that just by clicking on to or scanning that QR code. Right, without further ado, let's crack on with the show. Let's welcome my guest. Welcome, Marina.
Hi, Mark.
Looking forward to our conversation, but before we get stuck into that conversation, let's give you the opportunity to introduce yourself properly.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of OK Talk, a platform dedicated to providing well-being services. I'm a qualified counselor and psychotherapist, and I've been working as a counselor for more than 9 years.
Fabulous. Great. So the obvious question to start with is, how did you get into counselling and what inspired you to do that?
Yeah, so when I was a child, I didn't have many people to talk about my problems, and not many people were interested. I remember my grandmother, she asked, but, her strategy was, praying for us, and I didn't want to upset her and disappoint her. So I just pretended, it worked and everything is fine. So in my 20s, I moved to England and, I started working, had my first relationship, and it was tough. So I went to the doctor because I knew something wasn't right. But he told me that, speak to your family or boyfriend. But, my family was far away and my boyfriend was a part of the problem, and that time the doctor didn't help me. And I was very young, I was in my 20s. I didn't get that support I really needed. So I always had interest in in psychology, and in humans behaviors. I decided to apply for psychology degree, and first I had to do access course. And one day I found a book in the library that was on counseling. So I took it home and starting reading and doing the test. But my answers were all wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a challenge for me. I really felt intrigued what actually counseling is about. And actually, that was my first encounter with counseling. Yeah, and I found it so fascinating that it was the time when my journey started. Um, yes,
So,
yeah.
like a lot of people that get into sort of helping other people, it was inspired from what you said by something that you've been through yourself, and you wish that something was available to you in those times when you were having some struggles, and now that's the sort of problem that you solve and help people overcome by having the things that you wish were available when you were having your struggles back in your 20s. Yeah.
Yes, yes. I didn't know much about counseling when I started. I wanted to study just psychology, but then counseling was something very intriguing. And I remember, when I got to psychology and counseling degree, and we had to do 20 hours of personal therapy. And, I remember, feeling a bit shocked and, angry because I felt like my life that time was normal, like was okay. And after six session, my counselor said to me uh, that this is just the beginning, and I could not understand actually what she meant at that time.
That's interesting. But one thing I was going to go back to when you said about psychology is that when I was at school, I'm a bit older than you. I can't even remember even psychology being in a topic, but it probably was about there. But it seems to be more and more that when I hear about people and they're doing, I'm doing my exams, and then like this morning I was literally watching BBC Breakfast, and someone said, oh, my daughter's taken an exam, and today she's taking psychology. And I was thinking that's a good thing actually, because psychology is such an important part of our well-being, isn't it? Understanding our psychology. It's a lot of people think, oh, well, I want to understand psychology so I understand other people, but it's also important to understand ourselves, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah. And so I see your business is called OK Talk. What do you think is it that stops people from talking? Then, what do you think the barriers that are there that stop that happening?
Yeah, I think it is very common, when sometimes when we open up, we talk about it, we might be triggered. That might be one thing which stopping us, and sometimes also, the outcome. Yeah,
Right.
so we feel like we don't want to talk about it. Sometimes, talking can be very beneficial, but sometimes it depends what we talk about. It can be very difficult as well.
So that's interesting because then, so moving on to regards to what counselling actually entails, how does it differ from other therapies and support then, and what role does the actual counsellor have within the one-to-one situation with someone that's having counselling?
Yeah. So I always say counseling is a process, and it provides that safe and confidential space, for the client or for you to explore more about your issues. Counselor isn't an expert. Who's the expert is the client, even though sometimes client comes and kind of seeing you as an expert. Counselors are trained in different approaches, yeah. So we all use different approaches. There's so many approaches, as person-centered, CBT, Gestalt, transaction analysis, um, solution focus. There's enormous number of approaches. So what I want to say is that I think sometimes we feel like I remember when I went to counseling a couple of times, because first of all I had to, because of my studies, and then because I knew it's going to be beneficial and I needed someone independent who is not emotionally attached to me or to my friends and family people I know.
Yeah. So that's interesting what you've said. You said that obviously your doctor at the time suggested talking to your family or to your boyfriend, and one being the problem, and others that are just a bit too close to you. So the important, from what you're saying, then the important part of a counsellor's role is to be someone that's completely independent from the situation, and I'm assuming one of the most important skills a counsellor has is listening skills. Yeah.
Yes, it is. But people assume, when I started doing this job, my dad assumed, oh, you just listen to people. But, there's more into it than just, listening.
Okay. Let's move on to how you can actually support people, and let's talk about the workplace in particular, where we talk about and hear about the challenges of stress and burnout in the workplace. So, is that the sort of typical thing that you can help with regards to when you are offering your services in a working environment?
Yes, a lot of people come with anxiety. I would say that's number one. Uh, Confidence issues. I think burnout and anxiety. That's when your body is telling you. It's giving you those signals. Something's not right.
So there could be lots of things going on to make you just feel as if that you're just not right, and that you need someone that can listen and also guide you with regards to strategies. I'm guessing with regards to dealing with your thoughts and the anxiety that you're experiencing.
Yeah, so a lot of people, come to counseling expecting, to learn coping strategies. You know, uh, which is completely fine. But sometimes, in counseling, we do much more. We do this deep work, exploring more about what's going on for that client. So we do, explore more about strategies, but the main focus in on the clients. Feelings and emotions, behaviors, and yeah.
Yeah, I can remember. It's interesting. I was working with a client many years ago, actually, and we were discussing with regards to his business and how he felt about it. And one of the things that we discovered was that he had this deep need for security, which was for me was interesting because he'd run his business for 10 years. It was seemed to be growing and successful, but he still felt as if he was not particularly secure. And a lot of the things that he was doing in his business was causing him problems for him and his employees because of the way he approached things. And then it transpired that he had some difficulties in his past, way back when he was a child. So is that something that you come across a lot, where people are actually experiencing problems now, but actually when you start to unpick things, it's actually something that started a long time ago?
Yeah, if you think about, if you experience burnout or anxiety, it did not start today. Yeah,
No.
it's something what started weeks, months, maybe years ago. So in therapy we do reflect sometimes, even on childhood. Sometimes I do suggest clients to write a timeline or lifeline, yeah, and just reflect. Or I say, okay, ask your parents what actually been happening when, what happened when you were a child, because sometimes you might not remember, but even children, if you think about that, they can sense a lot. So you might not remember, but you actually went through that because you just felt that, you sensed that.
Yeah, and so how I mean, we talk about how we sort of strategize with regards to dealing with these things. So, is there some techniques and things that you can share with us with regards to how, a certain, maybe tell us a story of a client, obviously not with that, not naming them, with regards to how you helped them, and then the strategies that you helped them with that overcame that challenge.
Okay, yeah. So what I can think of, maybe, I would just go. Don't want to bring clients here,
No.
but based on obviously my work. I wrote just a couple of points, and when you struggle, the first thing, obviously, I know people, as we discussed, that come with they want to learn more coping strategies. When they stress and upset. So, what might be helpful? To think, okay, what strategies I use are helping me, and when do they work best, and do they work, so really just recognizing and addressing those unhealthy coping mechanisms. The other thing, I think, we all struggle with that, and is it's very important to feel present and grounded. So have that focus on what's happening right now, because a lot of people can say, okay, I'm um, overthinking, I'm worried about, so about the past or about the future. So when we do that, we can be present. So maybe I would suggest, okay, just start noticing when you're not present, when it's just so much going on for you. And obviously, I think indication would be maybe feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and people experience all sort of uh, feelings, and emotions, and I don't know, physical sensations. So maybe just put that focus on, okay, how do I experience that, and what are those strategies to make myself feel more grounded. So I can think clearly, because I think that's the most important when we're not present. It's really difficult to feel, I don't know, motivated and focus, and so the next one I would mention is validating and processing emotions. Sometimes we feel like, oh, I just don't want to feel that, like we want to ignore those feelings and emotions, but I think it's important to to maybe imagine that they just above you as a clouds, and they will pass by, and there's going to be that sunshine, rain, or or that wind. So it won't be there for forever. The other thing what I can think of is cultivating supportive relationships. And what I mean by that, it's really talking to the right people, about what you're going through, about, it can be anything, work, personal struggles. So you get that right support, and you get that what you need, and really focusing who is that person to talk to, if it's, I don't know, family member, or someone at work, or professional. Because sometimes I feel like um, I don't know, at home I've noticed a lot of people, they, okay, I want to talk to my partner is not understanding, or is not empathetic enough, my needs aren't met, I'm not happy. Or at work, there is a lot of expectations from managers. I think sometimes we are in those positions where people don't know where to turn, and obviously they come to us. But if you think about that, your partner might not be trained a counselor, or
Yeah.
he doesn't know how to listen, or find it challenging, or might be triggered by your problems. Or the same for managers, because we all humans.
I think that the thing with friends and family and trying to share challenges with them is that you don't know quite what they're going through at the time. So they might not have the capacity to help you, first of all. I mean, and they might have things that they're not saying that they want to talk about. So that's the danger, isn't it? And
Yes.
if you're asking people that, friends that you think are the right people to help you, they might not be the right people, because firstly, they might be too close to you, firstly, or they might have stuff going on in their lives that really they might see your problem as actually quite insignificant and small with regards to what they're going through, but they're just not talking about it the same way as you are. So that's the thing that I think about. There's always people always got stuff going on, haven't they? And what you said about emotions is key, isn't it? It's how we deal with things that matters, isn't it? And how our emotions actually get in the way with regards to the different parts of our brain, and understanding that if we are living on our emotions, that's not helping us, is it? So is that something that you talk about a lot with regards to controlling our emotions, recognizing them, but actually not and letting them sort of control our actions and our thoughts?
Yeah, we do a lot of exploration in therapy, about those things.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I've noticed, I ask people, oh, what were you thinking that time? What were your thoughts? And many people say, I don't know, I can't remember. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Some people, when I ask, oh, what, usually we good with feelings, we know how we felt.
Mm-hmm.
But with physical sensations, what was going on in your body, sometimes we might, I don't know, sweat or, feel tense. Some people are very good at recognizing that. Some people are less. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always saying just, being more aware what's going on in your body, what you thinking, about triggers as well. What is actually triggering you? Because something is normal, like I don't know, anxiety is even talking today. It's, I feel a bit anxious about that.
Yeah.
It's quite normal, but people come to therapy when that anxiety it just lasts for much longer and is obviously affecting their life. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, because this is we go out live on LinkedIn, and some people say, "Oh no, I don't know where I can do it live," but actually, it's just a conversation, and it's just sometimes our thoughts are actually they make out things as a problem or a threat, would actually, when we think about it, actually, what is the actual threat? There isn't really any threat. We're not in danger at all. It's just something that we perceive might go wrong, or whatever. But actually, when we think about it, take it down to the actual conversation that we're having. We're just having a conversation between the two of us in this instance, and trying to keep it at that level. And that's our mind sometimes sort of work against us, and being aware of that is a big enlightening with regards to making yourself aware of how your mind can actually cause you problems, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes, we try to challenge our negative thoughts, but I think it's about it's very much linked to confidence with like, for example, having chat today is you done it a couple of times, so your body kind of recognizes, or your mind, that, oh, it's okay. But
Yeah,
for example, for me, it's my mind is still saying, oh, there is that danger.
yeah. It's recognizing it as something that you're feeling, but it's not necessarily you're in danger. It's just something your body is sort of telling you that this is something that we're not used to. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but actually,
Yeah.
hopefully by now you're feeling it's fine and nothing dangerous is going to happen. So,
I feel it is fine. And that's when, people come to therapy. Sometimes I'm hearing,
yeah.
oh, my issue is, I don't know, just too small.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not matter how big or small it is, because our body, will send you that signal as there is, the danger. So it does not matter how big or small it is.
Well, and I guess small things can quite easily become big things if you don't sort of deal with them, have a strategy to deal with the small things. They can become a big thing, become a bigger problem. Right, Marina, I'm going to give you the opportunity to relax now and just sit back and just I'm going to share a few bits and pieces and thoughts about what you've been sharing and how it sort of connects to the 7-step process. So as I said at the beginning of the podcast, I always want to talk about the 7 steps and where it fits in. These are the 7 steps. But I'm not going to dwell too much on here. But the important thing here is in the workplace, it's understanding that we all go to work for different things. And so let's think about what those things are. So with regards to motivations, we've got all 9 motivations, and these are all relevant to all of us. But if there's something that particularly is important to us, then and that's not being fulfilled, then that can become a problem. So I've just picked out one for example. So friend is one of the 9 motivators. So there's no good or bad motivator. Some people have high friend. And friend, as you can see, is about belonging, friendships, fulfilling relationships at work. So someone with high friend comes to work for those things. So if those things are missing from our workplace, and someone comes to work particularly as one thing that drives them at work and gives them energy, so that can often become a problem if, firstly, that there might be a relationship that's broken down at work, or there might be your manager or your leader, with regards to the way that they lead, has not got anything regards to their motivations for that, what they're actually, the way they're leading, I should say, or managing, is not in line with creating that fulfilling relationship that you want from your work, and that can have an adverse effect on you. Short term, it might not be an issue, but if it carries on for a long period, then it can become a big problem with regards to your mental well-being and how you're feeling about your work. So let's face it, we spend a lot of time at work, and if we're not feeling that we're getting the right energy from our work and feeling good about it, that can ultimately become a problem long term. So I'm not saying that this is what causes the problems with mental health, but it is a part of the picture, I think, with regards to how we come to work, things that we want to have fulfilled at work, and if they're not, then that could be have a knock-on effect with regards to our well-being and how we feel about ourselves and our mental health. So any thoughts about what I said there, Marina?
I believe, relationships at work are really important. I'm not saying we have to be, friends, but having open communications, having that person where you can go, and if there is an issue, you can discuss that with, it's very important. And if you think about that, if there's not good relationship, if there's toxic relationships, it can be damaging, and it can affect your mental well-being. Yes.
Yeah. We're running out of time, sadly. So just before you go, then, so how do you see that business leaders can create and foster a supportive environment in their workplace? You see?
Yeah. I think crucial is to have open communications. Yeah. So I know, when I started, I remember, I didn't have to have that open communication. I needed to go and study for years, and practice that. So really just looking for, okay, what is there out there for me? Any resources, employee assistance program, and do I really feel like supporting them, or who is there in the organization who could support that employee to have that open communication.
I guess one of the things that you can offer is someone like you, as someone that they can contact, have their contact, your details. And so if you're listening to this, then obviously Marina is the ideal person to speak to. If you think in your organisation could do with someone that is supporting and being available for those people that might be starting to have a challenge in their lives, because let's face it, if they're having those challenges outside of work, or hopefully not inside work, but it might be inside work, if they can overcome them, then they're less likely to do things that, the productivity is going to be maintained. They're not going to think about leaving and all those sort of things, and all the costs that go with that. Really enjoyed our chat, Marina. Before you go, I think we should definitely mention your initiative with regards to the Chatty Cafe. Do you want to mention what that's all about?
Yeah, so the Chatty Cafe is scheme. I run one event in Portishead on Mondays morning from 10 till 11:30. It's for anyone to come and chat, really, to, it has nothing to do with therapy. It's just to have, just to chat about anything.
Yeah, I can confirm that. I go whenever I can. I haven't been for a few weeks, and after a few weeks I can go again. But Chatty Cafe's been great. And the thing that I've watched is that you started it and it didn't quite go sort of taking off, did it? And so you changed the venue, and all of a sudden there's a great sort of like community that's started to join and actually turn up on a Monday morning. And I really enjoy it when I get the chance to come and join in the conversation, because like you say, there's no agenda. We just talk about all sorts of stuff, all sorts of people from different walks of life, and it's a great environment. So highly recommend, if you're free on Monday mornings, check that out in Portishead. And there might be Chatty Cafes nearer to you if Portishead isn't close by. So Marina, thank you for your time today. Really enjoyed our chat. I am looking forward to next time I'm at Chatty Cafe, obviously. But thank you again for giving up your time and telling us about what you do.
Thank you, Mark.
There we are. So Marina she's I've known her for some time now, and I think what she does is brilliant. There's sometimes we just need someone that can talk and make sense of those challenges that we have going on. So if you've got anything that's going on, then you know now to contact Marina, and I'm sure she can help you with those challenges that you might be experiencing. So just before we go then, just to remind you, 7-step process that I talk about is in my book. If you'd like to contribute to the podcast, then Buy Me a Coffee is available. The link is somewhere in here. I'll try to make sure it's in the comments and also in the show notes. And if you buy me 2 coffees, then I will send you a copy of my book as a thank you. So hopefully that's something that you're interested in, and any contribution to keep the podcast on the road is much appreciated. So thank you for those that joined us live. And if you catch this on replay, don't hesitate to leave us any comments, and if you get the opportunity also to share the conversation with anybody that might find it useful, then please do that. But until the next episode of the Motivated Business Show, I bid you farewell. Have a great day, take care of yourselves, and I'm looking forward to the next time.